It's gin and tonic, really.
We are off to play another 9 holes.
I'm looking forward to today, very much so. Yeah, how are you looking forward to today?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's a beautiful day, just 9 holes, so should be enjoyable.
Should be.
So we are starting our day with overnight oats. I put these oats in the fridge last night so that we had breakfast all prepared for us. So we've got lots of energy for our round. It's basically just like cold porridge, pretty much. I'm dairy free, so it is oats and it's made with water because we like it with water, like prison style. And we didn't have to get up super early because it was all prepared. So it's always good to think about your nutrition before you start your round of golf. We're also going to head out now and try our new Fit in 5 pre-round warm-up after our breakfast.
This is another one of the things that we do with the caddy pre-round. Little good luck charm, I guess. Would you call it? Yeah, definitely. We put some teas in the hair there. Golf chic.
We're ready.
Ali's been learning to play golf over the last year or so.
Yeah, about a year.
This is the golf course where she had her first proper 9 holes of golf. It's always going to be quite close to our hearts, I think, isn't it? How have you found learning golf at this golf club? Has it been a good place to learn?
Yeah, it's been brilliant because obviously they've got the coaching bay here and the driving range, and then I actually think the golf course is a really good course to like start on and learn on, purely because although I do really like parkland, there's a lot of trees that you can get your ball stuck behind, whereas here, because there's not many, it's actually a lot easier in the sense that even if you hit it off the side, it's a lot easier to kind of recover from. So I found it really useful in that sense, and it always seems to be like really good conditions here as well.
A
Yeah, it's been
win-win.
really good. Yeah.
A win-win.
Plus the coaches are amazing.
Oh, stop
I
it.
know.
Any bush? I mentioned in the previous video at the Cambridgeshire that I always mark my golf ball with some dots and a red line. You should be able to see that red line on there. I don't always use that for putting, but what I do use it for is for the shorter putts. I feel like it gives me a really good idea of my start direction. So we're on the first here. I've got quite a short birdie putt, so I'll definitely be using my line here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I line up my golf ball and my line on top of my putter to make sure that it's nice and square, and that's going to help me to hopefully hold this birdie putt. On a links style golf course, one of the big challenges can be trying to pick a point to actually aim at when you're hitting shots, because we don't have the same luxury of a parkland course or a heathland course where there's trees and lots of bushes and that kind of thing. The other option you've got is to pick what we call an intermediate target, which is something that's just ahead of your golf ball on the line that you're trying to play to. So that's what I tend to do here, pick a little blade of grass or some mud or someone else's divot, maybe an old tee peg if you're on the teeing area, and aim towards that to make sure I'm aiming in the correct direction. My marker is just the front of the ball here, so that's what I'm going to aim my club at. I'd like to just tell you, by the way, how jealous I am of your golf shoes, because look at these. Very jealous.
They probably fit you.
They probably would fit me.
I love them. They're good. All the gear and no idea right here.
You may have seen a little tip I did in the winter with Titleist, shout out to Hugh, in bunkers, talking about wet bunkers. Well, we've not really got wet bunkers as such at the moment, but we don't have any rakes in them, so it can be quite tricky, quite hard pan lies, which is what I've got here. The key with this is to try and strike the sand ever so slightly closer to the golf ball to make sure that the club doesn't bounce off it and kick into the back of the ball. I'm going to be aiming to hit the ball, or hit the sand, sorry, maybe an inch or so behind the ball rather than the normal maybe 2 inches. Let's give that a go.
What driver do you use?
Good question. I'm going to do a what's in the bag video soon. To start you off, I use a Titleist TS3. I'm very lucky the guys at Titleist, attached to St Ives, really look after me very, very well. So I've got a Titleist TS3 and I have an Oban, let me turn it around that way, Oban Kiyoshi 65 gram shaft. It's an extra stiff. It's an 8.5 degree head, and I've got the head set on the D1 setting, which I believe is 0.75 D lofted. My loft is actually 7.75. Reason for that is because I tend to create quite a lot of backspin, so it's a low spin shaft, but I do launch it quite high, so low loft, low spin, hitting up on the ball quite a lot should mean the ball stays in the air a long time. And if you just saw that tee shot I hit, it's gone miles straight down the fairway.
Is there a difference between male drivers and female drivers?
I mean, the club doesn't know who's hitting it.
Yeah.
So, no, in that sense. But there are some changes that often occur in women's clubs compared to men's clubs. One of them is just the length. The shaft length is a little bit shorter. Quite often they're a bit lighter as well. They have a slightly more flexible shaft, just to help increase a little bit of club head speed, and you tend to find that they'll have a higher lofted head. But as I say, that's not across the board. The golf club itself doesn't know who's hitting it. It's just making sure that you get the right club that suits you. So always make sure, if you're going to go and buy some new clubs, that you go and get fitted.
Make sure you're wearing your sun cream.
This is Morrison's own. Little free ad for you there, Morrison's, you're welcome.
Stay safe, stay alert.
Stay pasty. As you can see, the ball is just next to this drainage line. My ball was actually on the drainage line when I got here, but you do get a free drop from drainage. I've just taken a free drop because I'm allowed one, really. You've always got to use the rules to your advantage. If you get the opportunity to use them to your advantage, always make sure you do, and always make sure now that you drop from knee height.
Why is it an advantage to take it out and drop it when it's in a drainage?
Just because drainage generally sits a little bit lower, and also, as you can see, it tends to be the part of the grass which is the driest, just because that's where the drainage is coming out from. Giving yourself a nice lush lie is much better than hitting it out of some deadpan, horrible drainage grass.
you've picked up your 3-wood this time. How come you picked up that instead of your driver?
The reason I've taken it rather than driver on this hole is it's just a placement hole. So I'm just trying to put the ball into a position. It's not about getting down there as far as possible. Just want to put it into a good spot to give me a shot into the green. We found out in the last video at the Cambridgeshire what Ali's golf goals are for 2020. I thought it was an interesting question to ask what it was that made you want to take the game up in the first place.
A couple of reasons really. One was I wanted a new challenge as an adult, basically, to learn something new, learn a new skill, physical and a mental skill.
Big challenge.
And yeah, it's a really good challenge. Stimulate your mind, stimulate your body in a different way. Obviously I exercise a lot in the gym and I'm a dancer, so it's a completely different form of exercise, much more low impact, much longer duration, so it really challenged my body and my mind in a completely different way. I do quite a lot of high impact, high volume, lots of energy exercise and dancing, and this is completely different. It's out in the countryside, nothing around, really quiet, just you, so you're not dancing with a team or anything like that, and you've got to stay focused. And I found it quite meditative actually, and it's really sociable. You can meet so many people by doing it, and you get to play in absolutely incredible, beautiful places. Yeah, that's why basically.
Great reasons if you ask me. There isn't a great deal of big landmarks, as we say, around this golf course because it's that inland links style, but what there is, much like on seaside links golf courses, is a lot of this long fescue style grass. If you come off the fairway rather than going into some sticky rough underneath trees and stuff, at the moment, because we're at the start of the summer, it's not as long as it can be. It will get up to around about knee height, and at that point it gets quite tricky to hit out of. It's definitely a feature of this golf course, that long rough just off the edge of the fairway.
This is literally the most beautiful day, and this is one of the nicest parts of the golf course.
Yeah, the lake's a beauty spot, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. There's lots of different nature that you can see here. Swans and squirrels and rabbits and ducks and deers, all sorts. It's beautiful. We've almost finished and we're almost back at the clubhouse. It's a really nice clubhouse as well here, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's got a lovely view over the golf course, nice little new patio area which they've just built actually over the winter. It'll be a lovely place to go and sit and have a drink after your round.
But it's perfect for the weather.
Perfect for the weather, perfect for their location. Trademarks of a few of the holes around this golf course is the sleepers around the edges of the green and around the edges of lakes. We've got it on the 9th hole, on the... someone just hit a ball in the water. The 9th hole, the 1st hole, the 12th hole, and I think there's talk of them putting it around a few more. But as you can see, if you miss the green short right on the 9th hole, you're going to give yourself a pretty tricky shot to get it close to the flag, particularly if you're right up next to it.
Talking of those sleepers and any kind of over bunker shot, or if you're doing a chip over something, if you've got an obstacle in your way, what is the best way that you'd recommend to do it without thinking about the obstacle? Because whenever I see an obstacle in front of myself and I'm going to chip, it kind of puts me off and I just get this mental block. But if it wasn't there, you'd probably just chip over it without thinking about it.
What you've got to do is make sure that you focus on the technique of the shot, and the technique of that particular type of shot is to have the shaft of the golf club nice and neutral, pointing towards the centre of your body, and focus on really flattening the grass underneath the golf ball as you go through. That's going to make sure that that lofted club that you're using is really sliding underneath the golf ball using the bounce on the bottom of it, and that's going to get the ball to come up in the air. That way, no matter what's in front of you, provided you use the right club, as long as you make good contact with the ground, you'll make good contact with the golf ball, and you'll hit a good shot. But I can understand how it's a mental block.
Trusting.
You've got to just trust that club.
Technique. Okay.
Trust the club, trust the technique.
Yeah.
How close is that? Golf club during the COVID stuff has developed a new app actually where you can order some food from the clubhouse, because obviously the clubhouse isn't open. You can order food, drinks, I think sleeves of golf balls if you're regularly hitting in the lake.
On the app you can specify the time and what you want, so you can finish your round and have a bacon butty apparently, so perfect.
We just finished our 9 holes at St Ives, the front 9. We had a really enjoyable time. We were first out this morning, so we had no one in front of us. It was like millionaires golf. I highly recommend you coming to play the golf club. I may be slightly biased as I'm obviously based there. It's a very different experience to what you would have played elsewhere, with it being the inland links style, so it's something a little bit different. It's well worth a visit, and if you're in the area getting fitted at the Titleist Fitting Centre, then make sure you schedule in enough time to play at least 9 holes after your fitting. I definitely recommend you come down and play the golf club. If you are in the area and come and play a round of golf at St Ives, as I say, I'm based there, so come and say hi, and it'd be good to meet some of you. We have a state-of-the-art coaching bay there. I'll show you it in another video sometime. Get in contact with me. All the information for my contact details is on my profile or on my social medias. I'll put the links in the description below. Make sure you pop in, say hi, and grab yourself a lesson before you go out as well. I guarantee that you'll play some better golf if you do. Guys, if you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe to the channel as well, the button to do that is going to be somewhere over in that corner. While you're subscribing to my channel, make sure you subscribe to Ali T's channel as well, Fit and Flexi. It's going to be somewhere down here for you to click on to subscribe to hers. And we're off to have a little sunbathe in the back garden for the rest of the afternoon. We will see you next time.